How's it going, everybody? This is Delegate Mark Fisher, and we have with us Andrew the Fuljanita and Ryan Brady. How you guys doing today?
Doing all right,
Mike.
Well, so today we're going to talk about what's happening at America's colleges and the Green New Deal, which is a big thing for millennials, of course. And also, we're going to talk, of course, about Ocasio-Cortez, and we're going to talk about a doctor in Ohio and some of the stuff that they've done. And of course, don't forget, also, we have the issue about the dumbest bill in America. You have to listen to this bill because you can't believe it. It's worth waiting just for this stupid bill because you can't believe what they're doing in Florida. And so starting out, we have this thing at American University, and it's basically an individual who went to American University in Washington, D.C. to set this up. And he's the digital director. His name is Cabot Phillips. And he was reading immigration-related quotes to students at American University in Washington, D.C. And the whole idea was to read them these quotes about how we need a wall on the southern border and how we need to basically have orderly immigration, and that's what the wall allows us to do. And what happens is that he's actually reading quotes from Democrats. And so as he reads these quotes, the American University students respond because they think that it's actually Donald Trump that's reading the quotes. And so we have this clip, and we want to play it for you because you're not going to believe it.
There's a government shutdown going on right now. Yeah. President Trump saying he wants funding for his border wall. The Democrats saying we're not going to give as much funding as you want. What's your thought on his push for this wall?
I'm not a fan.
Everyone has a shared reaction to this. It's absolutely horrendous.
I really don't see a need for it.
I don't think there should be a wall.
The wall is a really unrealistic solution. I mean, there have been many videos that have shown people easily crossing the wall that is supposed to keep people out or whatever.
It doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Isn't there pretty much already fencing?
So rhetoric like that is not helpful?
No, not at all.
What if I told you these were from Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton?
How about that?
Really?
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Democrats and Republicans have said things about border control.
That's interesting. I didn't think that. That's interesting.
So Fuji, what do you think about this? I mean, remember, American University is one of the nation's premier universities, and I just want to say for the record that Adam Katura, who's doing all of our tech stuff here, and he's just this incredibly brilliant guy when it comes to tech and so forth, when it comes to podcasts, among other things, he went to American University, so he's watching very closely this podcast. Andrew, what do you think about what's happening at American University?
Well, first of all, I love these videos. They're always hilarious. But granted, you can do this type of thing to any demographic. But in this instance, it's pretty hilarious to see the students react to these quotes they think are Trumpian, and then to realize they're left speechless when they realize they're actually these figures that they idolize, the leaders of the Democratic Party. But it is interesting to see these quotes, are from Democrats, and this has been their policy stance for many years, and now all of a sudden you got Trump preaching the same thing, and they've just did a quick 180.
Brady, thoughts?
My thoughts are this is just another political football, to be honest. We had the wall discussion for a long time, for decades, starting with Reagan, when he had that deal with the Democrats, to my understanding, of an amnesty bill, with the deal being amnesty for the current illegal immigrants in the country for a wall. And then, of course, that didn't happen. And then we've seen all these iterations of multiple leaders from both parties using this issue to either drum up votes and drum up support.
Yeah, but Ryan, what about the fact that millennials apparently think that all bad quotes come from the president of the United States? They can't possibly come from anybody else.
I think it's conditioning and siloing the information that they receive.
Yeah, but is this just college students or is it all millennials? Fuji.
I think it extends beyond millennials. I mean, in this instance, it's definitely millennials. You're out of university, so you're going to be talking to that audience. But I think that we've seen this kind of break generational boundaries just more recently in modern history. I think there's other age groups. I mean, I think the baby boomers, like Ryan said, you're kind of getting like a groupthink silo, and everyone's just being fed the same thing. It's you either watch MSNBC or you watch Fox News, and whatever you get regurgitated to you, that's what you're going to repeat and believe.
See, that's really good stuff, Brady, because Fuji just talked about these silos, and I think that's one of the biggest problems in America right now is people do just that. They get in their silo, they're comfortable, they've already made the assumptions, they made up their minds about everything there is to make up their mind about.
Exactly.
And they just make assumptions, the worst possible assumptions about people. Instead of getting to know people, especially people with whom they may be different from or disagree with, they want to hang out with just the people. Their diversity is the way people look,
Or
not
only
the way
vote
people
for them.
think. Right.
You completely lose all critical thinking skills. Like, it's out the door. You don't have to think for yourself because you're told what to think.
Where I may be in the minority opinion, where I may agree with things on the right and on the left. If we take both of the good things to solve one issue and create a compromise, you may actually have a better solution rather than take all or nothing. The idea which we kind of see playing out 30 miles down the road from us.
And it's funny because I'm a baby boomer, and the boomers, of course we disagreed about stuff. But the funny thing is we would just laugh about it and just be okay with it. We would never make a decision about party affiliation as much as we would personal relationships. That was the most important thing. But it seems like your generation, the mind is made up. If you're in college, you're smarter than everybody else, right?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think whatever group you believe and think, when you're told something, they're taking it as gospel and they're believing it. They're not thinking about it. Like, one of the quotes in there was, I think one of the students said, well, the wall is just unrealistic. It's ineffective. It's not going to work. It's like, well, if you took a second to just even think about ancient history, how many empires used walls? And what about the Great Wall of China? Like, why did they build a wall? It wasn't just because they felt like looking at a wall. I mean, it's effective for protecting your empire.
They got tired of getting invaded by the Mongols.
Right, yeah, exactly. There's got to be something to that, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
So Ocasio-Cortez, this is the left's, of course, wunderkind, right?
Darling.
Ocasio-Cortez, right? They're darling. She wants a Green New Deal. That's her big thing. And she wants a green. So the Green New Deal idea is that the United States of America will generate 100% of their energy from renewable sources, which presumably would be wind and solar. But when you look into this much more deeper, you realize, well, wait a minute. Wind power works when, of course, it's windy, but when it's not windy, it's intermittent power, and solar is also intermittent power because it works only when it's sunny. And so the left's idea, because I'm setting this up, of course, the left's idea is, well, wait a minute. That's what battery technology is for. The problem is battery technology is not advanced enough to store the vast amount of energy that we need when we need it. Because Americans, when they walk into the house and they turn on the switch, they expect that light to work. They expect all of their electricity to work all of the time. And if you've traveled a little bit, you'll find out that not all countries are that way. But they want to take us back to Banana Republic days when countries have intermittent power, not because they have green energy, but because they don't have base load power energy. So I'm just curious, what do you guys, I understand the idea of green energy and the idea of reducing CO2 emissions, but what do you guys think about this whole Ocasio-Cortez Green New Deal? I mean, is this really appealing to millennials?
To some, maybe not to me. I mean, the name itself makes me shudder. Green New Deal, so you're implying, a reference to the New Deal. Mm-hmm. And as me personally, I'm more of a libertarian. I believe in very small government is better. So New Deal implies let's enlarge government even more and take over some sort of function that the private sector was doing. So this sounds awful to me.
Brady,
it's nothing new. It's a rehashed idea from 2009 with President Barack Obama and his Sustainable Act, what's known as the stimulus. That was part of the budget deal, and then got ripped out to actually get it passed. What I'm seeing with this is, well, if we do that, the rest of the world's not going to be playing ball, especially China and India and the new N11 countries in Africa when they're just building their countries, and so they're going to be using all the fossil resources they have in their own countries to develop themselves. And they're going to be spewing more CO2 emissions because they're not going to have the regulations that we have. And to be honest, a Republican created the EPA and had the first Earth Day under Nixon. So I don't know. Maybe the Republicans had the right idea.
So you guys appreciate this. Base load power is the power that you rely on that is going to fill the grid with power all times, and that's usually generated by natural gas, by coal, or by oil, or by nuclear. And the Bill Gates, who's clearly not to the right of center, is clearly to the left of center, just came out publicly and said, if we want to really affect climate change, if that's really our goal, then wind and solar alone will not solve that problem. We actually need nuclear. And because nuclear creates no CO2 emissions whatsoever. And so what's interesting about this is the left is petrified of this issue because it puts their darling industries out of business. I mean, what do you think, Brady?
Well, with nuclear, they're concerned about nuclear waste. Has a half-life of what, 300,000 years? I may be mistaken. Someone can correct me on that.
So there's a negative side of nuclear,
yes.
But it's not emissions related.
No, it's not emissions related. They would say that it would have a lasting effect because of the waste. I may go off a little bit of emissions talk right now, but with the nuclear waste, we already developed a place to keep them, Yucca Mountain, but then everyone else started making that a political football and saying that would actually affect their water table, but it's in the middle of a desert underneath the Granite Mountain. So,
sure. But so Fuji, what do you think about this? Bill Gates and the nuclear idea.
Bill Gates got spot on. I mean, is this Green New Deal even possible? I mean, honestly, I didn't know too much about it. So when I was doing my research, I was looking. I mean, it sounds like a great idea, but that's kind of the problem with a lot of these millennial new legislators that are going in there. They have these great grand ideas, but they don't actually have a plan of accomplishing them. Sounds like she has a plan. She says in 12 years we're going to hit this goal. But how do you do it? I mean, it's pretty much impossible when you think about it, because I think she talks about we're gonna have solar and battery powered energy is what we're gonna rely on, right?
Of course,
yeah,
because Ocasio-Cortez is now an expert on the matter,
right? So we look at solar, and which is like one of the most heavily subsidized industries in the country, and all of a sudden in 12 years it's gonna become super efficient and not need government funding to work. That's just what she's anticipating. How we get to that point, she doesn't say. We have no idea. And same thing with batteries. These super efficient batteries that she's is relying on to accomplish this goal, they don't exist. How do we know in 12 years they're even going to exist?
I mean, Tesla has this huge battery plant, of course, in Nevada that they have built. And they're building batteries not just for, of course, Tesla cars, but also for homes. And the idea is, you back up your home with power that is generated from the solar on your roof. Okay, so I get that. Problem is that if you happen to go through a day that's really super cloudy, or it's raining a lot that day, or perhaps snowing, there's a lot of cloud cover. The bottom line is you're not going to be able to back up the power. So now you have no power that's stored, and you have no power to be able to power your home and your refrigerator and so forth, which is why you need base load power. So I'm with you, Andrew. I just don't understand this whole idea of thinking that we can just cut off all base load power. And now we have Bill Gates who agrees with us. I mean, what do you think would happen, Brady, if we had Bill Gates debating Ocasio-Cortez? I mean, wouldn't that be awesome? Because she, of course, doesn't believe in facts.
That would be quite a sight because Bill Gates is a very intelligent person. Hence, he made one of the best software companies in the world.
Yeah. And in Maryland, Maryland is really pro solar and pro wind. And in Maryland, we have solar companies actually leveling hundreds of acres of trees. Get this, true story, in a county in Charles County, Maryland. The county has a project that they approved, and the Public Service Commission in Maryland approved, whereby there are about 300 acres approximately that are currently full of mature trees and vegetation in pristine condition with a couple of streams running through it and non-tidal wetlands. And the state and the county have approved leveling that and covering it instead with, of course, solar panels. So in other words, no trees.
Does the EPA know about the water? Because they own all of that.
Yeah, but isn't the whole idea that trees sequester carbon? So you cut trees down, which sequester carbon. You're trying to get to zero carbon emissions, so that you put solar panels. Fuji.
Yeah, I'm not sure clearing trees is the answer here. Yeah, I guess that's what happens when you are gung ho on accomplishing a task that you're not sure how to get there. This Green New Deal is basically an unfunded mandate. It's like, here, we have to do this. I don't know how we're going to get there, but here's how we're going to do it. And so people find ways, and they're kind of counterintuitive. We're leveling trees to have solar energy.
And I want to paint a picture for the listeners. So get this. So imagine 300 acres of pristine forest. You level it with a bulldozer, and now all the trees are gone. You cover it with wall-to-wall solar panels. Then you fence it. Because remember, this is now creating electricity, so it's dangerous. So you put up an 8 to 10 foot tall fence all the way around that property. And now you've cut off wildlife being able to cross through. You've removed any kind of vegetation. You've affected, of course, the local tributaries and waterways. I mean, this is supposed to be a good thing for the environment.
So fences work, is what you're saying?
That's right. Build the fence. Build the fence.
Build the barrier. We walk down.
So, and now we have this issue in Texas, and we have a thing in Texas, and this is a total millennial thing. The Texas Police Department is putting cardboard cutout officers outside of school zones to deter speeders. And so there's this picture on News Talk 1290, which obviously is a radio station in Texas. And they've got this picture, and I have to admit, it looks real. And there's a Texas police officer, and he's holding a radar gun in a school, in front of a school in this school zone. But it's a cardboard cutout. And the idea is so what do you guys think about this?
I am fearful. I'm very fearful.
Why is that?
Because I've got a lot of family in law enforcement, and a lot
so
of people...
your dad's a retired police officer, right?
Retired police officer. I got some other police officers in the family, and I'm worried because a lot of people are concerned about automation and taking jobs and stuff, but now we have to worry about cardboard taking jobs. So I think the law enforcement industry should be very concerned about this. Automation was supposed to be coming, but cardboard's here, so they should be concerned now about this. Yeah.
And it's probably made in China, too.
Hey, I
Brady.
want to be devil's advocate here. Great use of resources. Make a cardboard cutout. The cops can stay home or go out there, stay at the department or run some other errands while they're doing the job, while the cardboard's doing their job.
Yeah, so what's next? I mean, what other kind of cardboard cutouts could we have? Not in front of schools, of course, but in front of other places.
Security guards until they find out it's fake. That's
Well, that was really unique, Brian. Fuji, come on.
Cardboard legislators.
I went That's way better.
So we now have come to that point in the podcast. We're going to talk about the dumbest bill in America. And I really think we should probably have some sort of lead up to that in terms of music. So Adam will work on that some other time, obviously. Oh, that's a little expected.
Well done.
See, it is well done. Yeah, right on the fly too. So a Florida lawmaker seeks to end the ban on dwarf tossing. I'm going to repeat that because you probably can't believe you just heard it. A Florida lawmaker seeks to end the ban on dwarf tossing. Apparently, there was a ban put in place years ago in Florida to end the practice of, and some sort of game, I guess, of tossing dwarfs. Oh, sorry. I didn't know this was a thing, but apparently it is. And so this guy thinks that ban was a bad idea. And so, of course, as a legislator myself, the first thing that comes to my mind is instead of banning it probably years ago, what they should have done maybe is just like say, hey, just get the written permission of the dwarf before you toss them, and then everything's going to be okay. But they banned it, and this guy wants to reverse the ban. So Fuji, what do you think about this?
I'm for it. This ban is ridiculous. As like I said, libertarian. I'm all about open economy and a free market, and if this is how the dwarf chooses to make a living, who's to say he can't do it? As if maybe we should make sure there's proper safety regulations. I don't know, maybe to wear headgear of some sort. I don't know, but it sounds like a fun time.
And this was apparently happening at bars. So the current law, as it states, says that the state can fine violators up to $1,000 and suspend or revoke their liquor license. So I would imagine there's drinking that occurs prior to tossing the dwarf.
Yeah.
I know this is not politically correct, but it is funny. So,
Yes.
Brady, talk to me.
So the start of the ban in the first place? Did a little person get injured or something where it went a little too haywire and there was no consent and some bar got sued for all their money it was worth?
This seems like, millennials are all about like experiences more than they are about just going to like places. So I could see this being a millennial experience,
They want it on Instagram.
What I want to know was the ban lifted, because I'm gonna plan a trip to Florida and experience this now.
The article says the law was passed after the former carnival worker who brought the Australian pastime to Florida died in 1989, according to a Sun Sentinel report at the time.
This is a pastime in Australia? Wow.
Wolf of Wall Street made it popular again.
And so, so that was and you have to admit that everybody out there, that is a really funny, dumbest bill of that you probably have ever heard of. And we're going to continue to do this because the thought process out there in the United States of America is, especially by the left, that more laws are better. And they just think, we just have to pass laws because that's how we're judged about how good we are. And more laws are better because they make us safer. No, actually they don't. They make us less free. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing this segment. And the other reason is because it's just downright funny. And we want to make fun of the legislators and also their ideas. So we have our last subject of the day, and that is, this is a serious subject and it's really new in the United States. And of course, we've seen acts of discrimination. We've seen anti-Semitic acts. We've seen acts of course, racism naturally. And it's sad every time this happens, naturally. But we have a really unique situation where an Ohio doctor who's affiliated with the Cleveland Clinic, which is a very prestigious, of course, hospital, certainly by national standards and by world standards, was accused, and indeed it happened because there was evidence on their social media, of threatening to give Jewish patients the wrong medication. And this doctor and it's an actual doctor, an MD, put this on their social media while practicing at the Cleveland Clinic. And I just want to know, this is new, right? Because I just don't ever, sure, doctors commit malpractice. Doctors are human. They're not perfect. But this is a new thing. This is someone intentionally basically trying to kill someone strictly on the basis of their religion. Fuji, what do you think about this?
It's frightening. I hadn't heard about it, and it's incredibly frightening, especially in a time where it seems like across the country, a lot of the states are looking at bills that allow these, assisted suicide legislations and things like that. It's scary how much power these doctors have and how they can affect people's lives like that. And the potential for abuse is just growing. So hearing stories like that, it truly is frightening.
Brady.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the oath that doctors take is the Hippocratic Oath, where it's like, do no harm.
That's right.
So I think if this guy was anti-Semitic, which it is, he should not have been choosing this field where you have to treat patients regardless of their gender, sex, religion, political affiliation, the list can go on. This is very sad and kind of frightening because if someone had anti-Catholic or anti-Irish or just anti-anything, that would have been bad for me.
So this is an interesting millennial question. I want to read this first and foremost and this is from CNN. It says, Dr. Laura Kollab, Kollab, was a first-year resident of osteopathic medicine at Cleveland Clinic. And the medical center said in a statement, her term was supposed to last until last year, kind of mid to the end of last year. But the Cleveland Clinic said that when her now deleted social media posts came to light, the clinic conducted an internal review. And then presumably she was, of course, dismissed. But it says her departure was related to those posts, and she has not worked at the Cleveland Clinic since that particular time when they, of course, let her go. The medical center said in a statement. But here's the thing. That was the Cleveland Clinic letting her go, but she still has a license from the state. Do you guys think as millennials that this doctor should have her license revoked or at least suspended?
Suspended at least, for sure.
And why?
Well, they were going to actually intentionally give the wrong prescription, the wrong medicines to somebody based on their religion. So that's a lot of unethical and immoral actions and thought processes there. And the fact that there was evidence of this thought process, this intention of actually being occurring. I don't really know how medical boards would rate multiple chances and tries, but I think a suspension at the least.
Fuji.
Yeah, I mean, if people are gonna use social media to carbon date all their thoughts and everything like that, then you can use it against them. I mean, that's their fault, right? I mean, that's what a lot of millennials do now is they don't realize that what they're putting out there is going to be there forever,
and it's
going to affect their career and their livelihoods. So absolutely, if they're going to do it, we should use it against them, especially in cases like this.
And I'm not sure. I'm sure there probably is actually an app out there of some sort or website that probably rates doctors and tells you about their past and their malpractice history and so forth. But this is one doctor who should be put on that website. And people should know what this doctor stands for, because I don't think this is correctable, right, for the doctor. I think once you are this kind of person, you don't ever fundamentally change when you put this on social media. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. What do you guys think?
Yeah, agreed.
I mean,
clearly that's her beliefs, and you wouldn't. People know that social media is permanent and stuff like that. So what you're putting out there, we know it to be true to yourself and what you think. So yeah, I agree.
I can see So with her, it was intentional. She thought of intentional harm, but then you can go into more arguments about past tweets from comedians and actors who've been thrown into the ring, and then they have to go through a whole comeback thing because they said something 8 years ago.
Yeah, but is a comedian in a position to kill somebody?
No.
Yeah, so their lies.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. So
but just on the social media thing, I think it's gonna be dug up and used against you later in life.
I think she should be suspended, her license.
Yep.
And then I think that her name should be put on, you've got people that are convicted of child abuse. Yep. They're convicted of sexual abuse of children. I think she should be on some sort of, watch list for doctors who basically judge their patients by their religion and how they're going to treat them. I mean, that's just my personal opinion.
She may want to go with Doctors Without Borders to get a job.
Maybe we can do a cardboard cutout for her instead, She can... So that's it for this particular section of Mark and the Millennials. I want to thank Brady and Fuji. We're going to talk to you next time. We appreciate you being here. And don't forget, we're going to have the dumbest bill that you've ever heard of next time as well. And also the Millennial Outrage of the Week. Look forward to listening to you then.